What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Ben Bally, and back with another episode of the Sports Pod. And today is part 10 of the 82-part series, where I will be recapping every single Knicks game from this season. So if you want to hear about the Knicks, how they're doing, you know where to come check me out. Tell your friends, tell your parents, tell anybody. I'm always trying to grow my brand and get more listeners. And I appreciate it a lot. A follow, a like if you're on Instagram or YouTube, anything. I appreciate it a lot, and I'm gonna try to keep growing. I'm gonna try to do this for as long as I can. But getting into the episode today, the Knicks squared off with the Boston Celtics a couple nights ago, and this was gonna be a revenge game for the Knicks. They lost to the Celtic team on opening night, and it was a heartbreaking loss. They definitely could have won that game. The free throw shooting was so bad down the stretch. It was terrible. And then some of the refereeing wasn't the greatest, but I don't like to criticize that unless it's like really, really bad. Which it wasn't. It was just bad. There was only, I think, one or two calls that they missed, and I don't even know if it would have changed. It might have changed the game. The Knicks only lost by 4 points in that one, but who knows? But for this one, they lose again, 114-98. Didn't break 100 points for one of the first times this season, I think. They've been scoring at a pretty good rate. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Oh wait, never mind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 8 of their 10 games to this point, they have scored 100 points. So this is only the second time that it's happened. And not something I want to get used to. It does not feel great to not score a lot of points and not play the way I know we could have. I know we were missing RJ Barrett. And this team did play really well. Josh Hart had some good minutes in the starting lineup. And it was a good game from the guys. Brunson with 26, Randall with 25. Grimes had 12, Hart with 16. I think Hart's 16 are the biggest, though. And if they found a way to win this game, he would have gotten so much credit for it because he balled out. 16 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. To go along with 2 turnovers and 4 fouls, which shows that maybe he's being a little careless, but it also shows that he's playing as hard as he can and he's leaving everything out on the court. And then off the bench for the Knicks, nothing in this one. Nobody was in double figures off the bench for the Knicks. And the highest scoring was quickly with 7 points. I don't know how to feel about this because my thinking is that Josh Hart would have provided more of that non-tangibles off the bench than anybody else does on this team that who comes off the bench. And if he was off the bench, setting screens, getting rebounds, pushing the pace, who knows if Quickly would have had 10 points? I think he would have. Who knows if Dante would have had 5 more points to get into double figures? I think he would have. So you look at that, and then it's not even the RJ Barrett injury was migraines, and it's not even just affecting the starting lineup. It's messing up the whole team because Josh Hart provides so much off the bench, and then we missed that. And he gave us what we were looking for in the starting lineup, and that was big. But the guys off the bench nobody was able to fill in for what Josh Hart does off the bench. Miles McBride, he's a guy who he plays with pace, yes, but not as much as Hart. And he's I think he's a better defender than Hart, and I think he's probably the second best guard at defense on the team behind Grimes. And it's pretty close. Grimes had, let's see, no steals in this one, and neither did McBride. But McBride played a lot less minutes, only 1 minute for Deuce, and compared to 28 for Quentin Grimes. I really like Quentin Grimes. I think he's a really good player. And the only problem is he needs to get the 3-point shooting. I wouldn't better. Because he's a good 3-point shooter, but it comes in waves. So I think the biggest thing for him is for him not to be as streaky of a shooter and be consistently knocking down at least 3 to 4 triples a game. I don't think that's a crazy number. Yeah, 12 points in this one. Not any of these guys' best showing by any means. Mitchell Robinson. See, only 6 rebounds for Robinson. That is huge. Very big for the Knicks because he's been the best rebounder in the NBA to start this season. And now with him not grabbing as many rebounds in this one, and then three turnovers forced. I want more out of Robinson. That's not enough production from him. I think that he should be getting probably 10 rebounds a game with a couple exceptions at least. And then I'm okay with the blocks, and a steal is good. He had a really nice block on I think it was Jason Tatum, where Tatum beat him off the dribble. He recovered, got back to the basket, and swatted the shot away with his left hand, which is interesting because he's a righty, so that's good. And that's what he does. Robinson, he's gonna block you a lot of shots. He's gonna get steals. He's gonna get rebounds. Not so much steals, but he's not really gonna get you points. He's not gonna get you a lot of assists. He's also not gonna turn the ball over a lot. He's not gonna do anything negative for the team, is what I'm trying to say. He's gonna do all positives, but it's just not as big of an impact as some of the other guys on this team. And with that said, the guys who do make a bigger impact also have more negative impacts than he does. So it all cancels out and it all balances out. And I think Mitchell Robinson is a really good player and arguably the most important piece this season. He hasn't missed a game yet. And if he did and or Barrett didn't miss those games and missed this game, I would say that Barrett is the most important to this piece to this team right now. And then even maybe this isn't a piece to the team, but Julius Randle getting back to what he was. That's more of like a key to what they have to do to continue their success. And I don't even know if I would call it success at this point. They're 5-5. They're playing the Hawks. As I'm talking right now, actually, they're tied for last in the Atlantic Division. Given the division is incredibly difficult, everybody is at 500 or above 500. And then you look to the conference standings, they're 10th, which barely gives them a play-in spot. It's still really early to tell, but this is looking like how the playoff standings might be. People are probably going to move, their teams are going to move up and down. Besides a couple exceptions of the Hawks and the Magic, I don't expect much to change. Milwaukee's starting to figure it out. They're the 6th seed and moving up. Atlanta's tied for Milwaukee with the 6th. So they're the 5th and 6th. Atlanta has a tiebreaker, I guess, right now. They're in the 5. So I would expect Atlanta to move down, Milwaukee to move up, Milwaukee probably to move past the Hawks, the Heat, and the Pacers. Oh, it's like the Go New York song. The Hawks, the Heat, or even Indiana. But the Bucks, I would expect them to move up to the top 3. They're on the level of the Sixers, Celtics. That's their tier, top 3 in the East right now. I think the Nets are gonna probably take the Hawks spot. They're 6-5 right now, so only one game back in the loss column, and they look they look good. Cam Johnson he's a bucket getter, He is really good. And you talk about guys that make the game look easy. He makes it look impossible, but he is really good, and he's finally getting the playing time that he deserves. I'm a Knicks fan. I don't like the Nets at all, but I'm starting to become a Cam Johnson fan. He makes the game fun to watch, and I think the Nets are in a better spot now than they were last year at around this time with KD and Kyrie. But continuing on the standings, so really the Knicks are tied for the 8th seed with the Hawks, or not the Hawks, the Magic, Toronto, and the Knicks are all 8, 9, 10 right now. But I would expect those 3 to change. I don't think Toronto's as good as the Knicks. I don't think the Magic are as good as the Knicks. So those standings can change a lot. And it's really early. Like if the Knicks win tonight and go to 6-5, they're actually losing by 1 point right now, 95-94, with around 7 minutes to go in that game. But if the Knicks win tonight, they're tied with the Nets for the 7th seed. And if the Bucks lose tonight, they're gonna be tied with the Knicks for 6-5. And so will the Hawks. So with a win tonight and a loss from the Hawks, which will happen, and a loss from Milwaukee, which isn't looking very likely, they're up 100-79. The Knicks could be tied for the 5th seed right now, which it seems crazy to say, but it's true. And I really got to stop looking at the standings because it is so early in the season. This is their 10th game, and but like once they get down maybe to like the 6th, like 40th game, that's when I'll start looking at the standings and going through this stuff. But this Celtics game is what I should be talking about because it's really all that matters at this point in time. Besides RJ Barrett sitting out again tonight, the Knicks, they lost by 16 points, but they didn't play like that. They down the stretch, this was a 5-point game with like 5 minutes to go, and then the Knicks waved the flag a little bit early, I think, put McBride and those guys in, and then that was the game. And the Celtics kept Tatum and Brown and Porzingis and Drew Holiday, and they did their thing and made the lead bigger. Tatum got hot down the stretch. He had 35 points. Porzingis had another 21 on the Knicks. That's big. Porzingis could still be a Knick right now. He was a Knick, but we traded him away to the Mavs, and then that was the end of that. Porzingis was such a talented young player, made the All-Star team with the Knicks, represented for the Knicks, and if things didn't end the way they had with him and Melo, I'm interested to see that's a good what if. Like what if Melo and Porzingis didn't have a falling out? What if Porzingis didn't tear his ACL? Where would the Knicks be today? Would they have Jalen Brunson? Would they have Julius Randle? They might have Brunson, but I don't think they get Randall. And would Mitchell Robinson be as big a part of this team? Because he'd be the number two. He'd be playing a similar role to Isaiah Hartenstein, unless they started Porzingis at the 4 and Robinson at the 5. But that would be interesting, and I would love to watch that team. If it looked today and you slot Porzingis in for Mitchell Robinson and you take Hartenstein off the roster, you got at your 1, you got Brunson. We know what he does. Budding star in the league. The 2, you got Grimes, one of the best two-way players in the league. At the 3, you got RJ Barrett, who looks like he's taking a step. And I wonder if they would even have Barrett. Would they be successful in that season and get such a high draft pick? I don't even know. Barrett probably wouldn't be on this team right now. So you take Barrett off, and we'll just say Josh Hart is the 3 right now. An energy guy, pushes the pace. He's a great player, but not a great player. He's a solid role player, but I would want a better scorer at the 3. And at the 4, you got Porzingis. Looks like he's having another comeback season. I think he might have won comeback player of the year last year. I don't know if he did though. Porzingis, he's looking like he's going to be really good this year. Getting back to those days with the Knicks, I think him playing in Washington last year, Washington, D.C., really got his career back on track and got him in the right mindset and playing how he does again. And then at your 5, you got Mitchell Robinson. So we're going to keep Hartenstein on the roster. All NBA rim protector. Amazing rebounder. Probably the best in the league right now. And then off your bench, you still got Quickly and DiVincenzo, I think. So that would be a really good team if Porzingis never left. So it stinks to see that happens. But it happens in basketball, and you got to move on, which I think most Knicks fans have. But losing in a game where he beat you, again, it really makes you mad. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. But before I end it, if you're watching on YouTube and you like my content, consider dropping me a subscribe, like the video, comment. I really appreciate it. It means a ton to me. And if you're on Spotify, follow and rate it 5 stars. And also check out my Instagram. I've been posting a lot of stuff there. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. I'm your host, Ben Ballion, and this was The Sports Pod.